Hello, this is The Whole Truth, brought to you by the Greenville County Democratic Party. From local city councils and school boards to the South Carolina legislature and the nation, we provide a clear-eyed view of the whole truth surrounding the decisions, the policies, and the politics that have a direct impact on your family, your neighbors, and you. In today's episode, the chair of the Greenville County Dems meets with the Democratic nominee for the South Carolina Statehouse race for District 16, Lynn Ramirez. She shares her tremendous breadth of understanding of issues affecting the constituents of that district, as well as across the rest of the state. As Stacey welcomes Lynn, I should probably mention that she is married to the guy behind this voiceover, an arrangement that has given me a front row seat to her brilliance for years. So if she sounds unusually insightful, witty, and impressive, rest assured, I am completely objective.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Whole Truth. And we have a very special and amazing person here with us today, Lynn Ramirez. She's running for House District 16. And as you all know, we have someone running in every single seat this year. So it's a pretty historic year for us. So we'll be highlighting most of the candidates. And I'm excited to be starting with Lynn simply because I've known Lynn for a while, but also she is our executive committee woman and she does an amazing job representing us on the state level. So welcome, Lynn.
Thank you, Stacey. Really good to be here.
Thank you. I'm glad you're here. So, I've heard you speak a few times, and some of the things you've talked about is that you've explicitly stated that you want to focus on local priorities, which I'm so happy about, rather than national culture wars. So tell us, what is one specific issue in District 16 where you see immediate room for bipartisan common sense solutions?
Bipartisan. That can be really tricky. I'd like to hope that most of the things that are of interest to me would be or should be bipartisan. That would be, protecting the safety of our communities, and that means better salaries for teachers, police, firefighters, all first responders, so that they can actually afford to live in the communities where they work. Another thing I would hope would be bipartisan is the education front. The voucher system has proved to be a very poor decision. I hope they recognize that, and instead of trying to play around with it, they just abolish it altogether. I think it would save the state a lot of money. It would put money, tax dollars, back into public schools and what they're supposed to be doing. So I hope those two things would have a lot of bipartisan support. One thing I'm not sure would have as much bipartisan support is I would like to get some state regulations on getting money out of politics. Majority of our citizens want that. So if we could do that, I think we could go a long way into improving things South Carolina statewide.
Sure, definitely make it easier for candidates to run for office.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've known you for a while, and you lean heavily into your jack of all trades background. You've done a little bit of everything, from healthcare advocacy to coaching. How does having such a wide variety of real world jobs make you a better lawmaker than a career politician?
Perspective. It gives me a tremendous amount of perspective. During COVID-19, my husband and I had a small farm that we utilized to grow food to give to the food banks. So even though it was a small farm, I'll call it a hobby farm. Right. It's euphemistically a farm. We got a real understanding of just a hint of what some of these farmers have to deal with between weather, costs, access to resources. I think we have a much better understanding of what goes on there. But other than that, from having a pilot's license to playing violin and being invited to play with the Philharmonic Theater Orchestra, all those things seem to give me added perspective on different issues. So I'm not just seeing it from a very shallow point of view, including my world travel. That's given me an idea of how some other governments work, what can be done, a real look at humanity.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So having worked as and I think I have this right, a waitress, a bartender, and a gas station attendant.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Fun.
You've been in the shoes of hourly workers. So
absolutely.
What is the single most important thing the state legislature can do to support working class families right now?
That's a hard one. I know they're talking about different things for retirees. That does nothing to help our working class. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. For a single mother to have to work 2 jobs and still not afford childcare is ridiculous. They need to have Head Start programs that's paid for by the state. We need to get some subsidized daycare centers, because even if you can afford one, having access to one is very difficult also.
Sure.
I know housing is an issue. We need to have some rent freezes. We need to have not as much foreign ownership of property, and I know on a federal level they've been pushing that. So those are some of the ways to help some of the working families, but there's so many other small things that we could have done. The state this year spent so much time wasted on non-issues, absolute non-issues. Now, there were 3 different bills, and they were brought up at least 4 times, that they could have suspended the tax on gas, and they didn't. Georgia did it. Georgia extended theirs for another 60 days. Utah, Indiana, several other states did it. There's no reason we couldn't do that to help out working people. I know it's not huge, but it was something we could have done. Instead of sitting there and giving themselves raises, it would have been nice for them to think about the actual people in South Carolina. Sure. I know the teachers are still waiting on their raises, which have been frozen right now because we still don't have a budget. And we're 17 days in? It's the weekend? Yeah. So, I mean, we're looking at 20 days even if they figure it out. And all those are frozen. So there's a lot we could do to help if we stop dinking around.
So you talked about... we'll go with the single parent analogy that you used, and her working several jobs. Are you in favor of increasing the minimum wage?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Absolutely. The minimum wage is ridiculous right now. Well, first of all, South Carolina doesn't have a minimum wage, so we default to the federal minimum wage, which is $7.25.
Sure.
Now, when this first started, the minimum wage was a livable wage. But when you look at it in relationship to what costs are right now, it's a slap in the face. Sure. I made a call to a constituent the other day. I was actually trying to do some fundraising calls because I'm not taking any PAC money. Trying to raise money just from small donors in my district. And talking to her, she was single parent, 2 children. She can't make ends meet. When you have to figure out, all right, what groceries can I buy, or can I fill up my gas tank? That's not right. I ended up asking her what I could do for her. Right. But she's not the only one. There's lots of people around. And it cascades into everything, because you have someone like that can't afford things. They're not purchasing things. They don't purchase things. The small businesses are hurting. The only one that are really gaining here in our state, nationally, are these big corporations. And I'm very much against subsidizing those. I know there's another earmark in this for another big corporation.
Sure.
I would like to see it go to the small businesses, individual people, in the form of refunds or rebates. I mean, this tariff thing, I was just reading, tariffs were illegal, some of them that were put on. So the government refunded them. $71 billion went back these went back to the big corporations.
Of course.
Now, as soon as they announced those tariffs, these businesses raised their rates, okay? So, I mean, even with inventory that was still on the shelves, they raised their rates, saying that they were going to cover it. So they raised their rates. The consumer, we all paid for it. And then the big companies get the refunds. Now, they didn't hurt. Their margins weren't hurt. They were passing it on to us. Now they get that all back. I don't see anyone calling me and saying, hey, you bought a grill, you had to pay extra money on it. Here, let me give you that $5 back or whatever it was. So
they're certainly not lowering the rates either. So.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Right. They haven't come back down.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So minimum wage definitely has to be increased to a workable wage.
Absolutely. Okay. So as I mentioned before, you are a executive committee woman. So as a member of the executive committee, you know how the state party system operates. You are also on COOB, and don't ask me what it stands for. So
Caucus, councils, organization, operations, and bylaws.
There you go. I knew you would know.
Uh-huh.
So when the priorities of state party leadership clash with the direct needs of District 16 voters, how will you handle that vote? And I don't know that I think that'll happen, but that's a good question.
Okay, it's a fair question.
It
is. You know what? Lincoln has a great quote that I like, and he's talking about, I will stand with him when he stands right, and stand with him while he is right, and part ways with him when he is wrong. So my loyalty, my allegiance is, to truth, and then to what is right, what is fair, what is right. I am hoping that I don't clash with the party, but I am not a party person. I mean, we're at a point right now where we're almost forced to call ourselves Republican or Democrat. But in reality, most of us aren't. If I tell you about the things I think are important, like I'm a constitutionalist. Second Amendment rights are important to me. Not unfettered Second Amendment rights, but Second Amendment rights. I'm a fiscal conservative. I think we should have balanced budgets. I don't operate my home spending more money than I have there. So those things are important. If you looked at me and you heard that, some people would say, oh, she's a Republican. And then I talk about livable wages, minimum, livable amounts of money. And some people will call me a socialist or a progressive. And it kind of gets frustrating. But to answer your question succinctly, which I didn't, I will say I will stand with what is right for people, for the people of my district, for their needs. I hope that doesn't clash. If it does, so be it.
Yeah. Okay. So with your background in environmental stewardship and sustainable living, which you talked about your farm, how do you plan to balance the upstate's rapid economic growth with protecting our local environment and infrastructure? And you actually just did a little video about the roads. That was cute. I liked it.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I have videos about the roads. The data centers coming in is a huge concern. You track a lot of it back to if we could get money out of politics. But we can't solve the problems that we have if we keep sending these representatives to Columbia or Washington that are getting paid by these big corporations that both cause the problems and benefit from the problems. So that's why I'm not taking any money. Therefore, the idea of environmental stewardship will be easy for me to work with, and I think it's what the citizens deserve. The rollback of these EPA standards, serious problem for us. I was a beekeeper for years. I know the problem with the pesticides and the things that are going on. I am sympathetic and understand the need for some of them for farmers, and production, but there's got to be a balance. Now, these data centers moving in, so without any farm bridge loans on a state level to imitate some of the federal level plans to help our farmers out, they're in a real bad spot right now. And we have a lot more farmers in South Carolina than most people realize.
So can you back up 1 second?
Yeah.
You talked about a farm bridge loan. Just explain to people what that is.
Okay, USDA funds different programs to help farmers out. And in times of crisis or funding cuts, they may temporarily give some more money. So farmers work on, right now, we're going to get a farm up and going. Well, I need to buy fertilizer. I need equipment to take care of the land. So I don't have the money right now for it. So if I get the loan for it when my crops come in, then I get the better cash flow. But we're not getting that. So farmers are planting less. Then we're in severe drought conditions here. The upstate is still most of it is in severe drought, sure, if not moderate drought, and the rest of the state is. So the farmers aren't going to be able to bring those crops in. They couldn't plant the full amount because the cost of seed, the cost of the war, which isn't a war going on, and the price of fertilizers, which they're investigating now for collusion on price fixing on those. Yeah. That's a big problem. These farms are offered a lot of money by these data center companies. Mm-hmm. We have those come in. Then you got a representative that's taking money from utility companies. Of course he's going to vote and allow those in. And then you see this whole huge cascading effect. It's not just the one thing in the data center, because now we got to get power lines to them and power to them. Mm-hmm. So the utility companies are starting to use eminent domain to take it. Mm-hmm. They're running gas pipelines through these farms, and the farmers have no say on it. So it's a really big problem. I'd rather keep the farmers. You want to sell out all our farmland and talk about problems if we have food insecurity, that's going to be a major issue. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to keep creating one problem and then chasing it and trying to fix it by creating another. So the other big thing about that, just environmentally, I know I'll go on and on, but these data centers use a huge amount of water. Of course, we all know that. Yeah. But here in South Carolina, we have several aquifers. The one here under us in the upstate, we think about, data center won't come to Greenville County or wherever, and we're safe. No, we share the same aquifer. So the huge problem with the Georgia one, where they're brown water problems, they're draining our aquifer. Right. So we need more than just county moratoriums on them. Sure. We need statewide, and then more than that, we need federal until we can examine the problems. Now, Minnesota did a great job legislatively figuring that out, because they have to supply their data centers with green energy, and they have ratepayer protections. So the citizens aren't paying for the upgrades to the grid. They're not paying for the increased, water usage and everything there. Right. So that's a big thing. Wow.
So clearly, the climate and the environment is a big thing for Lynn.
Money, climate, water, everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's not?
But you have a point on the data centers, and I think I'm happy that things are happening at the county level, because we know states and the federal government are not doing anything. So at least counties are doing what they can right now. But thank you so much for being with us today, Lynn. We really appreciate it. Before we end this, please tell people how they can follow you on the trail and where they can go to donate to you.
Oh, great. Yes. Well, I'm running in House District 16. That's Simpsonville, Fountain Inn areas. So you can follow me. My webpage is Lynn Ramirez 4, and that's just the number 4, SC. So Lynn Ramirez 4SC.com. I'm on Facebook. You can find me there. Lynn Ramirez, South Carolina 16. You'll find me. I'll pop up. But you can also find me out and about. You know, I'm always up here in Greenville for business, but also you can find me at Voodoo Brewery, who have some really great sandwiches. You can find me down at Sounds of Summer, Fountain Inn. Come to Fountain Inn, find me there. Awesome place.
And how can they donate to you?
Oh, they can donate to me through the website, or, you know, come just slide something in my pocket. No. We're not going to slide anything in the pocket. But, yeah, I'd love donations. You can find that at my webpage. Anything would be appreciated. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks so much for being with us today. Like she said, tell them your website one more time.
Lynn Ramirez 4SC.com.
Got it.
Yeah.
Follow Lynn, and most importantly, go vote for her and bring some friends with you. Thanks so much. Y'all have a good one.
The Greenville County Democratic Party thanks you for watching or listening. We are thrilled that you are being an active participant in our civic society. But there are many others who still haven't recognized that their participation will make a positive difference. So we ask you to please share this podcast with others you know, especially those outside your politically minded circles. Most of all, we need you with your time, skills, and effort to help engage more like-minded voters in order to make significant change to our government. Find out how to get involved by connecting with us. Visit the GCDP website, www.greenvilledemocrats.com, and look at the upcoming events calendar or sign up on the volunteer page. Keep up with us by following or subscribing at our social media platforms. Search for GVL Dem on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, or Greenville County Democratic on YouTube. Thanks.